When we think about using lighting to create a feeling in our images, it's often centered around the perception of a character or subject. Here, our subject is shrouded in darkness. We can barely make out the features of his face. This was lit using a projection attachment fired into a bounce above the head, with our subject sitting just forward of the light spread to create shadow on the face. We also had another light, reflector dish attached, bouncing from the ceiling to fill in those shadows on the face just a little. You can just about see the eyes, and they look lifeless. Since there aren't any catchlights in the eyes, it's hard to feel any emotion from our subject, and we may be left to interpret it ourselves through the music or the context surrounding the scene. The lack of catchlights might be suggesting any number of things: unfamiliarity, blankness, danger. There's a feeling of mystery or ambiguity about it. Let's add some catchlights into the eyes, whilst trying not to change the exposure on the face too much. We did this by attaching a small pocket LED panel just above our camera, with the brightness on the pocket LED turned right down. Compared to the scenario with no catchlights, we're now getting more of a feeling from our character, just from his eyes. Since the light source is small, the catchlights are small, and the position of the light by the camera places the catchlights quite central in the eyes. It's direct, and we can feel this directness from our character. It almost feels a bit aggressive. What if we moved our catchlight a touch higher? We boomed our pocket LED just above and in front of our subject to achieve this. When compared to the previous catchlights, it still feels like our character is coming from a place of strength, but maybe somewhat less aggressively. In the right situation, this could even feel somewhat reassuring, like a strength in the darkness. You can see how changing the placement of the catchlight has changed our feelings toward the character. Let's move the catchlight down to the lower part of the eye. We simply placed our pocket LED on the floor below our subject for this setup. In comparison to our previous catchlight scenario, we've brought back that aggressive feeling from the centrally placed catchlights, but by placing them in an unnatural position toward the bottom of the eye, it now feels much less like a human aggression and something more devoid of humanity. It looks a bit scarier. Notice how simply changing the position of our catchlights changes our perception of the character, and even though our overall lighting remains similar between each shot, the feeling of the image changes. We can even experiment with changing the size of the catchlight in the eye. Here, we simply placed some bleached muslin material on the floor in front of our subject to reflect into the lower part of the eyes. We can see, when compared to the smaller source, we've introduced a little more light to the face, but that's not the only thing that's changed. The larger catchlights brings more emotion to the eyes, and although our character still appears somewhat angry, he also seems more determined, more human. Let's move these larger catchlights to the top of the eyes. We boomed a large gridded octabox above our subject to achieve this. In comparison to our smaller catchlights at the top of the eyes, we have an overall softer look to our character's face. And this isn't just because the light on the face itself is a bit different. If we focus on how the eyes feel to us, we might get a somewhat more gentle feeling from our character with larger catchlights. He doesn't feel quite as strong. There's a feeling of vulnerability. Catchlights are something that can often go overlooked, or simply used as a functional way to get some light into the eyes. But they can also work as a subtle tool to create and exaggerate feeling and emotion in your character and image, setting the tone for the ideas contained within the scene that your audience can pick up on in a more subconscious way.